اليوم بسولف شوية مع الوجوه والأسماء وراء براند تارا، فريق من الكيميائيات كلهم بنات، they're all female chemists يشتغلون في لابات تارا، وهم اللي قدموا هذه الفورمولاز. So meet Miriam, Chloe, Celia. Nice to meet you all. Impressive. All of you are female. Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense when you're creating the formulas.
Yes,
You understand, and you all have different hair types.
it's cool because that way we can try the product at home.
And how do you develop any product at Tara? Like, do you come up with this idea, I'm going to create something based on rosemary or like onions?
We are starting from a natural ingredients that we find in the Middle East or the Mediterranean Gulf, and we try always to bring the efficacy tests and to find the combination between the naturality and with another ingredient, the technology. So we have a synergy between both ingredients to proven the most efficacy to our product.
Chloe was telling me like you also consider hair types when you're working on products, like
Yes, of
you
course.
try them.
I think that it depends on the kind of hair you have because, for example, if you are focused in curly hair, you have to look for ingredients that makes the hair more curly. For example, I like using sugars because sugars fix the hair and make it much more curly. And also it depends on the kind of skin, for example, because we also do different products for skin and hair.
Miriam, how would you your formulas make the most out of the ingredients, natural ingredients to be specific?
Yes, so we are very aware that we need to respect the efficacy of the ingredients. So maybe, for example, as we are chemists, I'm going to talk about chemist things. So, for example, if some ingredient needs to be in a certain pH, so we are very aware to focus on that and not counteract their efficacy. So maybe, we try to respect the ingredient and add something that can be added, not the opposite.
And how do you measure the effectiveness usually?
Well, on the lab, we try on ourselves, but when the product is finished, we try to do user test at the end. So maybe we can give some product to people and try it for several weeks and see what happens.
There was something interesting. I know you have a piece of hair extension here.
Of course. Yeah.
All right.
So nowadays I'm working in different hair tests. So I try to measure the volume of the hair, the softness, the overall hair health. And I try to damage the hair. For example, I use bleaching treatment. And then I do different tests. For example, the visual one, you can see the hair and you see that.
This is 100% real hair, right?
Yes, 100 natural hair. Yes, natural, virgin.
Okay, so يا أخي الخصل تكون مثلا عينات يسوون عليها تست هني في مختبرات تارا and you bleach it, you ruin
Yes.
it. يعني عرفته يسوون أو يسوون damage حق الخصلة، يعرضونها لكل الحرارة and coloring and bleaching, and then you use Tara products to measure the effectiveness.
Yes. And then I do different tests. For example, a bouncing test that makes the strand of hair to move.
عشان يدرسون يعني مرونة الشعرة والرطوبة اللي موجودة فيها. Interesting.
Some microscopic assessment, for example, and other different tests to see if the product works.
You know that Tara is a huge success in the Middle East. It is. Do you think because of the similarities we have, like between, the Middle Eastern hair and the Spanish hair, since you ladies work in the lab here in Barcelona?
Yeah, we know that since we are all in the near the Mediterranean Sea, I think some of the ingredients are quite common in both countries. So maybe some ingredients that work for us also work for you, like maybe rosemary or onion or sage. Yeah, I think sage is quite common there also. So we know it and we take advantage of it.
Using Tara for so long, I know, it's so hard to hide my shampoos and conditioners from my husband because he keeps on using my products. And since we're here, I want to ask you, do they work effectively on men's scalp as well? Can they still use the same product?
Yes, sure, absolutely sure.
Okay, they can.
I would say the scalp and the hair, it's quite similar, I think the skin is different because it's thicker. So maybe you should not have lent the brand. No, that's right. Only the hair ones.
I know you're working like that's. I don't know if we can reveal that, but I will definitely will. I know you're working on a formula for men.
Yes.
Okay, tell me more about this.
Well, it's quite interesting because I cannot try it, what I usually do on the lab. So I give samples to my husband also, and he's quite happy about it.
Okay.
He likes to try it, and you have to take awareness that I was saying men's skin is thicker, so the products have to be specific for them. We try to have richer products, but absorbs quickly because men don't like to put a lot of things on their skin. They are not used to it as we do. So yeah, it's challenging.
Can we know like what's the main ingredients in that collection? Or
so we are trying to have ingredients that are like simple but work. Like I think it's the same with Tara products. It's important to choose the ingredients, the quality, and then to put it in a formula that works.
When you come up with the new ideas, what is the first step to start developing the right and the perfect product?
Looking for ingredients. Yes.
First thing.
And also we are very careful about the concentration of the ingredients. So we try to put up to the maximum to have the maximum efficacy. And we pay attention also to the European regulation to have the best.
I know you're generous with the ingredients. Like when you have peptide, you really have peptide.
Yes,
like 10%. When you have like also, but you still stick to the European regulations.
Yeah, everything is, everything we do is European listed. So we can have the best safety for our customers. But as it's good for our customers, it's not as good for our chemists because it makes our work difficult. Because the more ingredients you have to play attention with the stability of the formula. So it makes our job difficult. So yeah.
I've been in the lab and I know we work together on the new creation, Detox Collection. I really want to know what was the idea behind that one.
So I think in the Detox Collection, we are focused on the scalp to make it as clear as possible to promote the hair growth. So
yes, we try to exfoliate the oiliest and we try to sublime the hair by become shiny.
The detox, I know in the detox you're using natural exfoliators. Exactly. You're using things like argan oil and argan dust or shell. Exactly.
Yes. And we use also the charcoal powder and we have also different clay that exfoliate the scalp.
سو الفكرة من مجموعة الديتوكس اللي شغالين عليها الحين في مختبرات تارا هي تنظيف فروة الراس من الدهون المتراكمة، من الأوساخ، من الأمور اللي تعيق إنبات شعر جديد أو تمنع الشعر أنه هو ينمو بشكل أسرع وطبيعي. Since day one I used Tara, one question was always in my mind. Whose idea was it to create the onion system?
I think onion is so used here in Spain because it's effective with the growth of the hair.
Okay.
If you use, for example, an onion extract, for example, my grandma used that and she could realize that her hair was growing, so it works.
But it's so magical because this doesn't smell like onion at all.
Yes.
It's like lavender. It's so hard to believe that there is onion in there.
Yeah, that's because we don't use the onion by itself, but we use the extract.
The extract.
Yes.
So you take all the vitamins, all
the good stuff, the thing that matters, that is efficient, and remove the other that smells and doesn't cause anything good. So yeah.
It has lavender, red clover, rose bay flower.
Yes, its shampoo gives a very good volumizing hair.
And also about the odor, the extract is made from water. So the perfume or the odor of the molecules, for example, are soluble in oils. So if you put the onion into water, you just extract the important stuff and you don't extract the odor. So that's important also.
Interesting. You may be curious to know, like, what are the beauty secrets that Spanish women usually use from nature, if we're talking about natural?
Well, the first thing that come into my mind, I think it's the olive oil.
Olive oil.
Yeah, we have it everywhere here. And I use it for makeup remover.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
I put it on my face directly and just brush it.
Pure olive oil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one you use for salads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
very famous in Spain.
It removes the makeup.
Yes.
A lot.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
I
nice.
think it's the best.
Good
Yes.
second بنات يستعملون زيت الزيتون على وجههم عشان يشيلون الميك اب. نفس اللي يحط بالسلطة. Okay. I love that.
You have to do a second step later on. Do not give all the oil to the skin because maybe in oily skins it got
Causes breakout if it's
yes, maybe,
Yes.
fine.
We use olive oil usually for hair.
Yes,
We love
yes.
hair. We love any oil for the hair.
Yes.
I normally do a mix between coconut oil and olive oil. So I have the best mix for my hair, I think.
Good advice.
Yes. We use almost in every product for the
Okay.
hair and the skin also.
You know what's also big back home in the Middle East? We use castor oil.
Oh,
It's really good for the hair. So we need a castor oil collection by Tara. What is the secret of the Tara shampoos, despite the fact they are sulfate-free, but they're still so foamy? They make a good foam and they clean really well. So what's the secret?
Because we use a free combination of surfactants that forms clean and that is obviously without sulfates. So
Okay.
it's safe for the hair. It was very difficult work to find the good combination and the good percentage between the free surfactants because we use at very high concentration. So for stabilize the formula, it was very difficult, but we find it.
Will the Detox Collection be also as foamy and
Yes.
for all hair types, all scalp types?
Yes, I would say that if you have like a sensitive scalp, maybe you should reduce the amount of time you use it, but it's perfectly fine. Yeah, because not only has the exfoliating products, but also it has some actives that are for nurture the skin and the hair. That is why we always combine in sets. You only have the shampoo, but the conditioner and the serum. So maybe the conditioners helps the hair to be more nurtured, and the serum helps the scalp to be more moisturized.
Usually companies, when they're either good at hair or good at skin products. It's interesting in Tara because I tried the shampoos, they're amazing, and also I tried the skincare line. There's the Glow Dry Oil.
Yeah,
That's an amazing
product.
What's the idea behind a dry oil? Why not just simply an oil?
I think that silicones, for example, are also used in products, but we don't like silicones because they are not natural.
Yes.
So we try to use silicone-like products, ingredients that feels like silicone, but they are
natural. Oh,
yeah, they're natural. So you have the same touch, the same softness, but they are natural.
Yes, we use very volatile ingredients to not have this greasy effect on the skin
gives you
after
the
application. Yes, exactly. It gives the glow of the oil, but not the oily effect.
You don't feel like there is like an oily layer, on your
Yes.
face. And the skin absorbs it really
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
How do trends affect, your vision or the development of a new product? Do you take, trends in consideration, or are you just focusing on creating great products in Tara?
I would say that we are not as focused as trends, but we are because we live in a modern world, so always do. But I think we are more focused on the wisdom and the old wisdom, like the things our grandmothers did and how we can put it in a modern product that works. So yeah, I would say that not as much as trends, but old wisdom.
Yes, as my colleague said, we try to find previous ingredients like grandmother recipe and combine with technology, peptide, etc. to have this modern world.
Did your grandmother try Tara? She did. Did she like it? What's her favorite collection though?
I think onion.
Onion also.
She used to use onion.
Oh,
She did an onion extract with water, and she put it in in her hair, and she liked it so much.
اوكي. So تقولي انه حتى عندهم هم يعني من اسرار الجمال انهم do you soak the onion in the water before؟
Yes.
اوكي. وياخذون
And then she put it in.
وياخذون ماي البصل يحطونه على الشعر بس الريحة يعني the smell though is like onion. Okay, this is a gold. This is amazing. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. This was
Thank you to come in Barcelona, Noha. Thank you.